Hey everyone, so I saw you guys like my video about how to care or fix issues with the imagitearium plants. Four of you guys like that, so I figured I'd make another video about that. But how to generally, because there's another section of imagitarium plants as well, that I wanted to talk about as well, and this involves betta fish as well as rosy red minnows as well as goldfish. And it's basically and betas as well. And it's basically generally the same. It incorporates all the same issues, and it all leads to down to one single issue with how these fish are raised essentially and how these plants are raised. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about what I do essentially, and this video is more of an experience video rather than a beginner video. So if you're not used to caring for Amazon swords or betas or goldfish, please do not try this because you're most likely going to end up killing the animal or killing the plant if you do not have the right temperature or quality of water, or you do not plant the right way, or it's planted wrong, or the plant just melts in your tank because you have too much light, too much filtration, etc. So this is just my experience and what I've learned how to adjust, and what I tend to do with plants that are dying that I see occasionally, not too often, but this is one of the plants that I've actually done as well. So this was one of the only times that I've gotten a plant that was apparently, from my aunt, no, was severely dried out, and most of the leaves died on it. So I just wanted to talk about, generally care for betas, care for goldfish when they're sick and not doing well, and how you can fix that with a couple of items or a couple of care tips from what I've learned. So essentially with the goldfish, a lot of the time they're going to be sick. Most of the majority of your goldfish are weak immune systems. They've been through, I don't know, they've been raised, but they've been treated very poorly. They're probably in a tank with thousands of other fish, and then they come to a pet store and they're in a tank with dead fish. So which also causes ammonia, which also causes weak immune system, and then we bring them home, put them in our aquariums, and then they die off because they have weak immune systems, and you can't generally deal with that issue really. And same betas are in cups, tiny little cups, and they eat and then they poop, and then they eat and poop and eat and poop and eat and poop in this small little bowl, and their immune system eventually gets weaker from that. So here are some ways to generally fix that. And yeah, I have a plant on my screen right now, but this essentially goes for betas, rosy red minnows, goldfish, and anything like that. So enjoy. So I tend to not buy sick fish, but if I feel like I can care for the plant, like I'm very good with my fish. Like there's no way that my fish will get sick and then die I'm there on top of my fish, unless I'm sick, of course, but I'm there on top of my tank, they're on top of my plants, they're on top of everything now, um, tank wise. So when something pops up, I just deal with it, and then the fish ends up either surviving or dying, depending on how hardy the fish is and how um, much that disease has damaged that fish. So essentially, plants. Imagitarium has many ways of caring for them, and essentially, they do it the wrong way. They tend to. So, their logo, their way of selling plants is snail free. So, you get a snail free plant, and but you lose leaves, you lose most of the time the root system on the plant is horrible. So you lose the root system, but you get large leaves. Benefit, not so much. And here's why. Because those leaves are grown in a facility where they're grown immersed. So the plants are essentially in this moist material that keeps the roots moist, but the plant leaves are grown above water. So when you put them in water, they look like this right here, and that plant will essentially die off, or that leaf will die off. And if you're not knowing what is going to happen, you'll probably think the plant will die. And a lot of younger people, not younger people, younger aquarists or new aquarists would think, oh, my plant died. That is just immersed growth dying. The plant will essentially create aquatic leaves. So, like, I've had a plant recently that I got. Most of the leaves were damaged on it, and it wasn't in the best shape. But with all fish, we feel bad for the plant. We feel bad for the fish. And I have so many plants in my tank. I'm like, what was gonna be to just like buy this plant before it ends up dying in the pet store? Like it's a living thing, and they're just letting it die immersed. Like, of course, in this generation, we want to sell, but in the ways of growing aquatic plants immersed, you lose essentially the hardiness of the plant to where it's not that hardy. So when you get a plant in the pet store, a fish in the pet store that's not used to being in a tank with thousands of fish being grown above water, you mess with the plant's hardiness, and which leads to the leaves growing immersed, which is above water, and the plant ends up getting used to immersed growth, but it grows smaller roots. And I've had plants, I know Java Fern not survive because they only have one root on it, and that's from the imagitarium plants. So with these as well, the leaves, if they dry out, the plants can die. So you would have to essentially know what you're doing and put it in gravel and let it grow in water. And I might try that. I may not, depending on how well this plant does. But it depends on the plant. Depends on how long it has been growing immersed for and everything like that. But like I don't like seeing things just like dying in a pet store. Like if I can help it, I'll buy it. And not like saying like, okay, there's Java mothballs where your allergy eater will eat it. Like I'm not saying buy something for it to just like die off or for it to be fed to your fish. I'm saying if you think you can um, heal it or fix it, buy it, because it's gonna put more oxygen into your tank and create more structure for your guppies to hide in rather than it melting in a pet store. And I think I cut off 3 or 4 leaves on I think it was 3, on this Amazon sword that were dying. And I mean, it's not that like, okay, it's a plant, yeah. Plant leaves out time, it's just that like we're trying to sell something that's snail free, but the only way we can is to hurt the plant and make it grow immersed leaves and then convert it back to aquatic leaves, which are much shorter essentially or much taller depending on the way the plant grows. And that goes for guppies as well, because not guppies. What am I thinking of? Rosy red minnows and goldfish as well, because they're grown in numbers of thousands of fish to be fed to Oscars, which I don't technically prefer, but some fish eat live animals, so I get that part of it, but they should definitely be treated better, because the health of the fish is definitely not there. The immune system of the fish is damaged, so it can get ick, it can get fin rot. Then you feed that to your fish, and then it gets fin rot, or the ick falls off by time before your fish eats it. So, it's just like ways of doing that. Now, a lot of the time, plants do die as well. But like, there's ways of dealing with that if you know how to deal with it. If you read, oh, this plant grows a leaf every month or every, it's a fast growing species, try it. I would hate to kill plants or anything. I've done that before with bulb plants. I cannot grow those for my life, but Madagascar lace plants specifically are very hard for my aquarium to essentially grow, especially because they have that growing stage and then the plant dies off and then it comes back. So it has that growing season where the whole leaf dies at the end of every growing season and then grows back. So those plants are very hard to deal with. But if it's an imagitearium plant like Java fern, Amazon swords, essentially it's going to survive. So if you see one with like a leaf like this, most likely, as long as it's not just that leaf, you should be okay. That leaf will generally die off, and then grow another leaf through the rosette of the plant, which is the bottom part where the stems are coming out. So don't give up on your plants because it will survive. Same with fish. Of course, illness is an issue with every fish, but I would say definitely try cutting off their growth and then letting the plant grow from there, especially if it's a bad leaf like that. You don't want to use that leaf. Um, or you could have your fish eat it, honestly, but um, that's what I would do essentially, and that's what I'm learning is to just. It's not like it depends on how you look at it because, like, if you're used to getting healthy plants, then great, and healthy fish, great. But if you want to save a fish or save an animal, um, or save a plant, essentially, that looks like that, there's many ways of doing that, and honestly, I probably would prefer to do that rather than get a plant that obviously it's the same price, but if you think of it, if you care about plants, and I have peace lily in my room, I have cactus in my room. If you care, I'm regrowing some cactuses that my friend dropped. So, if you care about plants and you care about fish, why not? Like it's not gonna harm your tank at all. It's just growing above water. So why not care for it? Why not care for a rosy red minnow and try saving? Like there's that thing of like, okay, you're saving an animal, rather than having it melt away in a pet store when it's not really beta, when they're not in the right care. As of like, I would, if I could, I would literally buy a goldfish from a pet store and try to save it. Like that would be a YouTube series that I would do and have it grow out. Same with rosy red minnow, same with beta. I would have like a tank, and this beta is doing well, this plant's doing well, this plant's coming back. I literally would think that would be a cool video to do. I mean, obviously you're paying for it, but you're also saving the life of a plant, saving the life of an animal. So, if you guys have any questions, like I said, please post them in the comments below. And that's some ways that like it's not gonna kill you to save an animal's life or save a plant's life. I mean, obviously plants have the bonus of growing new leaves. I mean, I would rather buy a plant than have it melt away in a pet store, just because it's not, it doesn't talk or anything, but it's a living plant, and you would hate to see anything die that's live, that's living, when you can also create babies off of it. So that's just my way of looking at it. Like I say, if you guys have any more questions, please post them in the comments below, and thank you for watching my videos. And also, it's definitely a benefit as well to feed your fish the right food. A lot of pet stores get away with, oh yeah, guppies can eat, let's see. Okay, so this is a flake food that you would essentially feed a guppy, right? So, Petco, PetSmart, and a lot of pet stores say you could feed fish meal, wheat flour, shrimp meal, dehulled soybeans, meal, squid meal, corn, gluten meal, wheat gluten, iron, oxidized fish oil, paprika, which I don't know what the heck that is, grain, dried yeast. So it's so the way you look at fish food essentially is, so I raise guppies and I raise catfish, right? Obviously they both have different diets, but if you're just raising a guppy tank, which I'm mostly doing, you want to go for the fancy guppy food rather than the tropical fish flakes. The reason why is if you look at the actual food that guppies eat, they eat what's on the ingredients for their fish food, and that is fish meal, wheat flour, soybean meal, krill meal, brewer's dried yeast, fish oil. Now you see the interesting part here. This is more geared toward guppies because vegetable cererois, polyesters, soybean oil, stabilized vitamin C. I'm just trying to find other food. Hang on. Yeah, so garlic is a plant. Whereas this is more of a meat. This does not have, as far as I know, it doesn't have garlic in it. It doesn't have. It has more of. So the tropical flakes from Aqueon have more meatier foods, which guppies don't eat. Guppies are mainly omnivores. They will eat meat, but their general diet is of algae and of fish babies. So generally, they're not going to eat yeast in the wild. They're not going to eat like what's in. Yeah, there's no plant iron, calcium, magnesium, something, grain, dried yeast. Yeah, there's no plant based, so they're not getting the algae part of it. With guppies, they eat a lot more algae, as well as meatier foods, but they don't just eat meat. So you're going to see, like, if you look up wild guppy diet, I would recommend going from that versus the actual pet store diet, or what the actual diet of a pet store fish is. Not because they can't eat it. It's just generally what they'll eat in the wild, which will generally increase the speed that your fish grows, increase the speed of your fish's diet, make the fish healthier, and give it the right nutrients rather than this tropical fish flakes that is more geared towards every fish rather than one specific fish. I know a lot of times with cichlid food, they're more meatier, and guppies are omnivores, so they just don't eat meat. So you're giving them protein, they're going to grow bigger, but they're not going to get the right nutrients. So, if I would recommend probably feeding your fish the right food versus feeding them what the pet store says to feed them. Definitely pay the little extra more for the right food for the right fish rather than paying something for a fish that is not going to give the right nutrients. That's just my opinion. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Remember, always feed your fish the quality food that they deserve versus the worser food, which is the tropical flakes, color enhancers from Aqueon. Again, if you have guppy, but it depends on the specific fish species. So if you have a cichlid, try stay more geared towards cichlid food. If you have guppies, try to stay more geared toward guppy specific food. But if you have a community tank, tropical fish flakes is your better bet. Unless you want to throw in multiple different foods as well, which is also a good way of doing it too if you're that into a community aquarium. But, I could just say what I think is my opinion. It's all up to you guys. But it is healthier for the fish if you feed them the food that is meant for them versus the food that's meant for a whole bunch of different species in the same area of in the same uh temperature range of fish. So it's better to feed them what they actually eat in the wild versus what every single fish in that category eats. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope I'm helping you guys care for your aquariums and care for your fish correctly.